computer. There we go. Hello, hello. Welcome to Ram and Goat Astrology. We're a little bit late with this one. Sorry, that's okay.
Oops. Life got in the way.
Life got in the way. We've been so consistent, though.
We have.
So consistent.
So, yeah. It's all right. It's totally fine. We're still in the very beginning of June. We're recording June transits today, and it's just the 2nd of June, and I think this will be released on the 3rd or the 4th. So, yes,
yeah, we are rocking with the sun in Gemini, which is about being flexible. So we're being flexible with our lives.
Very flexible.
Because living in Sweden and living in Wisconsin, and you work a lot, and I have 5 kids, and I'm surprised we've been as consistent as we have been, honestly.
Yes, me too. The other day we were going to try, because we always record my evenings and Laura's daytime, noon.
Yep.
And it's the other day, because it's been just a very busy week, we were going to do 5 o'clock my time in the morning. And I was actually I was pumped for it, but it didn't happen. But I think that might be something good. It sounds a little crazy, but I think it could work.
No, I think it would work really well, which I love it, because you could tell me what happens the next day, because you'll be in the next day.
I'll be in the next day. Yeah.
Which is
from
so
2 different days. That is
Isn't
really
it trippy? We're talking through time right now. Like, really think about that. My brain gets so weirded out by the concept of time, and like, you're in the future and I'm in your past.
Yeah, that is weird. I don't know. I feel like I was gonna say I don't believe in time, but
right?
It really is just something to measure something. I'm fine with time. I'm okay with it. It helps plan things.
It helps plan things, and it's still super trippy to think about.
Yeah.
My kids were talking about, or learning about, a landmass between Russia and America up by Alaska. And there's like 2 islands. And one island is in the time zone of, like Australia and all them. And one island is in the American time zone. Wow. And they're like 23 hours and some odd minutes apart. But they're like right next to each other.
Yeah.
And my brain is like,
oh no, my brain is a little bit too tired to understand that.
Right?
Yeah.
I just can't figure it out. Like, I can, but I really can't. It's super hard for me to grasp. And this has nothing to do with what we're talking about today, but this is how Gemini works. So welcome to my brain.
Yeah, it's Gemini season now, so we're all in Laura's brain.
Right? Come on in. It's fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to talk about the things happening in June, which is mostly Gemini season. There's a lot going on. We start off with a full moon cycle here on the 3rd and 4th, which is full moon in Sagittarius. What do you think about full moons?
Yes.
Do you do a ritual for them, or?
I always beforehand I always think, oh yeah, this month I'm gonna do a ritual. And then because of the Capricorn lady I am, I just plan shit and then I work with something and then I'm like, oh no, I didn't have any play ritual time. I didn't take any time to do that thing that I want because it's not being productive. But I always but I do think about I do think about it, but I don't do that thing that I want to do, like take a bath or like lie down naked in the moonlight or something, and just like write in my diary, and then
burn things. It. You don't do the actual work of it.
No.
That.
Oh well. What do you mean, actual work of it?
Well, like the work of, like you said, you don't do the bath or the this or the that. You don't make it an actual work task to do. Okay.
No, I don't.
What do you think you would need to shift that in your mind? Because you're not the only one who deals with this. I bet there's tons of people who are listening who are like, oh, I've been wanting to do a full moon thing. I just keep forgetting, or I just don't know what to do, or I just don't plan it. So what would you need to implement that? Would you need to put it in
I would need to put it in my calendar, physically write it with a pen in my calendar, like a few weeks ahead.
Yep.
And tell my partner that this evening I need to be alone.
Okay.
Because I need to do that stuff alone.
Yep. So are you
when I'm
going to
gonna
do
do
that for
witchy
next
stuff,
month?
I'm gonna do alone. Yeah, I guess. I got a little bit annoyed with you now.
I know.
I guess.
I know you did.
Yeah. No,
Because you
that's
said you
great.
need to do it a few
I would
weeks
love
ahead.
to. Yeah.
So if we know that we're having a full moon now, then we know that there'll be a full moon in about 4-ish weeks.
Yeah.
So if you put that in there now, then for that'll be a full, and that'll be a full moon in Capricorn. I think that's a good time to start making your full moon ritual part of your quote unquote work tasks. Yeah. What a great full moon to start that on.
And you know what? I'm gonna actually plan in. This happens on Sunday for me. Sunday morning. I'm gonna plan 15 minutes.
Okay.
Of something. It might be a walk to leave the house because if my partner is home. Yeah, I'm gonna do something small. Even if it's just a walk where I think about what the full moon is doing with my chart.
Well, and Sagittarius is about action and travel, so that would make sense if you took a walk. Do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that.
Thank you.
So you're committing to this in our recordings, so we have this out into the universe and everybody can hold you accountable.
Yes. No, accountability is great.
It is. I really require it, which is why I have to do a podcast with a partner, because there's no way I could keep a podcast going on my own. No. I need a buddy.
Yeah.
Buddy system
kind
of
have some.
My full moon rituals are definitely more hit or miss. I think for me, it really depends on the moon cycle. If it's a moon cycle, I feel like intimately in, within my aura, I will do something. If it's something that is just not really affecting me profoundly, I let it pass. So I feel like I'm way more just wishy-washy with it, which makes sense. This one I feel, though, as a Gemini moon, this is opposite my moon. So this is happening opposite. And I am feeling this one more intensely. And I'm feeling a need to release. And full moons are they're like a full stop. This is where you pause to think, right? This is where the sun in the sky and the moon in the sky are opposite each other. So it's this opposition energy. So, you got to recognize if you're dealing with this inner conflict between sun and moon energies. And I'll be feeling it profoundly. And anybody who has placements in Sagittarius or Gemini will feel it pretty profoundly. So recognizing that tug of war and recognizing where we need to release, right? Release the energy causing the tug of war. And it looks different for everybody, but it typically involves this Sagittarius Gemini theme, which is very active, very action oriented, fire and an air sign. So work on releasing those energies together. So what would you feel like how would that affect you?
Releasing energies. I mean, I think the best thing that works for me is movement.
Yeah.
I love dancing, just, when you're home. I mean, you can be out too, but when you can just go in, just move in the way that you want to move, not be outside like diddle-doo, dancing nicely, but really move and get those emotions out, because it is emotional. And I usually, sometimes I feel a little crazy when I'm home alone and put on loud music and just do this crazy,
oh, I love it.
It's just
like you're at a rave, right? Like, yeah. Oh yeah.
But everywhere, and then end up crying.
Yep.
Because you get so in touch with yourself when you're moving, because you're not thinking, you're just acting on your intuition. So I think moving is that's the best thing for me. And after you move, I think then is a good time to maybe write or read something, but if you're letting go, then writing is better.
The writing is one of the best things you could do for this full moon cycle. because that Gem and Sag energy are both very communicative, and they love to use the words and teach and use intellect, right? They're very like professor intelligence oriented. So communication is a big part of that, and writing is a huge part of communication. And the moon affects our heart and our emotions. And our heart chakra goes right down our arms, right into our fingers for typing, or our hand for writing. So I recommend you really embrace this Gemini and Sagittarius energy for writing, for sure. So what's next after that? We have that full moon where we're going to release. Don't start anything new during full moon cycles, unless it's a full moon ritual. By all means, start that. But this is not a time to start new things. You really have to let go of things during this. I mean, you certainly can try to start something. I promise you, it's not going to start well.
No, I always think of like a plant analogy. On the new moon, you plant the seed, and on the full moon, you harvest the flower or something like that.
Yeah, I like that.
And I think this full moon is also going to be a T-square to Saturn, by the way.
So fun.
Yeah. So a little extra tension to mature and always just look up your chart and see how that's interacting with the planets transiting.
You could be judging your emotional release as well. Saturn's a big one for judgment and kind of that authority figure. And stop crying, right? Like I always think of like the dad that doesn't want to deal with emotions, like stop crying, quit whining, right? That might be an energy you feel while you're feeling your feelings. And if you do feel that, or if you do hear that judgment, just go, okay, but I'm going to finish crying first and then I'll stop.
Yeah. I'm going to finish first and then I'll stop.
Right? So the biggest thing I love about astrology is creating that awareness. Like, oh, now I know that I might judge myself when I'm feeling those feelings. Thanks for bringing up that T-square. All right.
Yeah.
But then 2 days later, Venus enters Leo. Oh, you guys.
Yeah.
This is so good, especially when it comes for being recognized and bringing money in for recognition, right? So like, depending on where Leo is in your chart, that will be the area to put some energy into. If it's the 5th house of creativity, or if it's the 7th house of partnerships, whatever it is, work with that energy. But Venus in a fire sign, especially a fire sign like Leo, this is where we can get recognized for the things we love to do and the way we bring in money. And hopefully we all have an expansion by doing something courageous like Leo and bringing in new relationships or new friendships or new ways of bringing in income. Because who can't use new ways of bringing in income?
Yeah, for sure. And I also think, about pampering yourself, because Leo is all about like buying that expensive face cream and that glittery jacket and those high heels or something, and something that makes you feel really good and like luxurious in a way. It doesn't have to be expensive, but just something that makes you feel something like that.
My
Very
daughter
Leo.
Guinevere is 9. She'll be 10 in July, and she has her Venus in Leo. And I started doing 2-hour dates with the kids, the big kids, once a week. So each kid gets 1 day for 2 hours every week. And we went to get our haircut the other day, my husband and I did, and they had pedicure seats right there. And she asked our hairstylist, she's like, what is this? And so we got information, and she goes, we're coming here for our next date. She wants to go get a pedicure, and our next date happens to be June 5th.
That's perfect.
Isn't that funny?
Perfect. Yes. Her natal Venus in Leo is going to feel so good and so pampered and so luxurious. Because Leo is there to remind us that, it's okay to feel glamorous and want to like spend extra time on yourself.
Yeah. Yep. And then there's a bookstore across the street. So she wants to go get a pedicure and then go sit and read a book at the bookstore in the like little reading section. Cute. It's like, oh my gosh, kid, this sounds like the best date ever.
Yeah, I want to come.
Right? Come on over.
Yeah.
So that's fun. I like when kids are really in the energy, right? Like she just recognizes this is what needs to happen. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then we have Venus opposite Pluto. What happens then? That's the 5th and 6th. What's going on there?
Yeah. So yeah, so Venus ends up on the opposite side of the chart to Pluto, and oppositions can be a little bit like a tug of war. Did you say that? And it's a little bit of an. It's just two things staring each other in the face and trying to decide who's gonna take charge. And with Pluto, it's always something going deep. This is, I feel this will be a hard transit for everyone. This could be about, Pluto is about power. Venus is about, all things we love, financials, security also. So I feel like this could be something not so nice happen with our sense of security and safety, and maybe like authority figures trying to control you, or not pleasant, not so pleasant. But it's good to be aware of it, because you might be the one doing it.
Well, exactly. Yeah, you could be triggering it too, for sure.
Yeah. What do you
I think
think
there might
about
be
that one?
some tension too between partnerships, right? So you and your friends, you and your partners could experience jealousy, possessiveness, right? Those words definitely come up whenever I'm thinking of Pluto, and with Venus, which is the things you value. So maybe you really value this item. I almost think of like a little kid who doesn't want to share their toy with a new friend, right? Like, no, that's my stuffy, and then the stuffy gets broken, right? So there could be that kind of conflict between this energy. So this could get really intense, with especially with Venus just entering Leo, which is ego, right?
Look at me. Yeah.
This is my thing. This is right. I want this, right? It can get really egotistical. And then when it's opposite this power planet, there could be some coercion, there could be some manipulation to get what you want, or for them to get what they want, right? So just be aware that for these couple days, the 5th and 6th, that this is an energy that may get a little yucky between partners, or even as a mom, recognize this happens with siblings. These transits really affect siblings, especially Venus, because that's where you really work on your first relationship, right?
Yeah.
So I've noticed a pattern. I've been paying attention to Venus more as a mom the last probably couple 6 months now, and I've been noticing a pattern that when she's in a hard transit, we have a hard time at home. And it's usually this, like, the kids just going head to head, right?
Yeah.
And that's thanks to Venus.
Yeah.
Appreciate that shit.
Yeah, and you might feel it because on the 5th and the 6th, this is exact. But you will probably start feeling it on the 4th, and you will still feel it on the 7th. But yeah, so it's a little bit longer when it comes to these planets.
And we go right from the full moon into this Venus Leo, into this Venus opposite Pluto, and then just a few days later, we've got a lot of stuff going on. The 10th, 11th, 12th. There's a bunch of stuff happening.
There is. Yeah. So on the 10th, Venus squares Jupiter, the 10th until the 12th. So it's a lot of Venus stuff too.
It is a lot of Venus stuff.
Yeah.
She's real active this month.
Yeah.
She's getting around.
It is. And so Venus is that planet of relationships, finances, your values, and then Jupiter, the planet of abundance, and it magnifies everything. And so with this transit, it could be a little bit too much of the good stuff. It could be overindulging with food, with spending money. Venus is money, so I would say
watch your online purchases.
For sure, around the 10, 11, 12. Don't just splurge on things that you haven't thought about buying. Don't go and just spend a lot of money on pretty things.
Right. But if this
Yeah.
is something like, if you're like me, where you have stuff sitting in your Amazon cart and you're like waiting for a time to buy it, where you're like, I legit need this package of underwear. Like, I'm postpartum. I need to buy myself some new underwear, but I haven't made the purchase yet, right? This is a good time to do that. Like,
Yeah.
get yourself something nice, right? If you are 7 weeks postpartum, you deserve a new pack of undies. It's okay, Laura, right? I'm telling myself this frequently.
It's okay.
But that just feels so nice when you get new socks or new bed sheets and stuff, right?
Yeah,
So
it
if this
does.
is something you've been wanting to purchase for a while, but maybe haven't wanted to because of, oh, I don't like spending money on myself or whatever it is, this is a good transit to
Yeah,
finally
this will help
indulge a
you.
little bit. So,
Yes.
yeah, if you're like
It's
me and
okay to indulge a little bit. I mean, Venus will want you to do that, but yeah, just make sure that you don't have to like take a loan afterwards, you know.
I won't buy
Make
that
sure
many
that you're
underwear, I promise.
because then, you know, that's when it turns bad. When you
Right.
just splurge on something and then you don't need it and then you feel super bad because now you're in debt.
Right.
And that happens to a lot of people,
Oh yeah. Oh
especially
yeah.
with all of these like buy it now, pay later. Like,
Mhm.
well,
And it's being
yeah.
offered so easily through PayPal or this one or that one, and it, yeah, be careful with that. Be really
No.
careful. And then
Yes.
during that transit, that's 10th through the 12th, on June 11th, Mercury shoots into Gemini. He's been trekking through Taurus for a while, and now your mind is going to get really active. So get ready.
Yeah, we already have the sun in Gemini, and now here comes Mercury. And Mercury belongs in Gemini. It's his
Yep.
home.
Yep. So I think it feels good, especially being 65% air signs. I never mind when these transits happen. I'm usually like, oh, finally, the world's catching up with me. All right. About damn time here, right? But it also can make some people feel a little crazy because of that duality. You got to remember, Gemini is duality. It is black, it is white. You can't have black without white. You can't have good without bad.
Mm,
This is the universal dichotomy, the heaven
mm,
and hell, the opposite things, right? So you have to recognize that you may feel indecisive. You may have a hard time making up your mind about things, and you may suddenly see things from this pair of glasses and this pair of glasses. Well, shit,
yeah,
what do right? You zoom out and you see both things, and you make a mature decision, based on seeing both sides of the equation.
yeah,
Mercury in Gemini is quick, really quick. Decisions can just happen like that. Things can change just like that. Your mind might get really tired really quickly, though.
yeah. That's true. And one thing that we talked about before we hit record is like I feel like I have just been things have been coming out of my mouth last couple of like 2 weeks that they don't that usually doesn't happen, and then I felt a little bad afterwards.
Yeah.
But it's Gemini season, and that's what Gemini does. It's just like
Foot in mouth syndrome.
yeah. So if you feel like you have been doing that, then this is the reason. It's okay. It will pass.
Right?
Have
It
fun with it, I guess.
have fun with it, and
Yeah.
recognize it might increase while Mercury treks through Gemini too, right? Because now you kind of got double emphasis there. But you might say things you regret. You might speak before thinking. You might take action on things that you normally would wait on or take your time with,
Hmm.
right? But Mercury and Gemini is like, nope, let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's talk to that person. Talk to that person. Let's talk over. You might this is a great time for networking, you guys. If you are entrepreneurs and you want to network, June 11th to when the sun enters Cancer. So you got about a 10-day window when the sun and Mercury are in Gemini. Use that networking energy. It's
Hmm.
like the best time to like increase your connectivity with people, right? Reach out to that person. Reach out to that person. If there's someone you've been wanting to collaborate with, this is a great time to ask them,
Yeah.
to reach out and ask them. If you want to
Yeah.
collaborate with us, reach out and ask us.
Yeah. I mean, it's great because sometimes we think too much and don't say these things out loud that we need to say. So we all need Gemini energy. Yeah.
For sure. And then that same day, Pluto goes back into Capricorn.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he
So
hangs out there for another, what, like 6 months or so?
in January, sometime in January, Pluto comes back into Aquarius. So Pluto has been in Capricorn for was it like
Since
16 years?
2008.
Since 2008.
Yeah.
That's a lot of years ago.
Yeah.
And then just a few months ago, it started dipping its little toes into Aquarius.
Yep.
And then started retrograding back into Capricorn. And there was a lot of things with banks and political big, huge things that happened around these dates when Pluto left Capricorn into Aquarius.
Yeah.
Now it's going back to rethink what happened, to redo them, to reevaluate.
I kept sending you article after article, like, look at this is Pluto. Look, this is Pluto in Aquarius. Like, I think I sent you like 5 to 10 articles that were really relevant to Pluto moving into Aquarius. And just kind of like this upheaval that Aquarius does. And I'm like, ooh, now we're going to go back into Capricorn and kind of reevaluate. And I think this is going to be a 6-month time frame where we really take a look at the structure of our lives and what is not working anymore. And then we're going to go blow it up. Because Capricorn's that structure, and then Pluto is the destruction, right? And now that we got a taste of Aquarius, we're going to go back into Capricorn and go like, ooh, that's a bad aftertaste. Ooh, we got to fix this, right? And going to go blow up the foundational patriarchy crap that isn't working anymore so we can move forward into a new Aquarian age where shit functions better and we care about people and the earth. Woo! What a concept.
Yeah. I think when Pluto goes back into Aquarius for good, or for this time for good, it will really be a huge thing globally, politically. And now, but this time when Pluto is just going back into Capricorn, I think it will be a lot of like taking a second look at like legislations and stuff like that. I think that's what's going to happen now.
For sure.
Maybe changing some things that new laws that suddenly appeared a couple of months back.
Well, we're seeing it we're starting to see it with the Rona vaccine and all the lawsuits coming out for the deaths and injuries and illnesses that it has caused. So that's starting to create awareness around big pharma and the foothold they have on society, right? And the laws and stuff that they've been involved in creating around healthcare, right? And I think that stuff is starting to show up already. I mean, I'm seeing it all over the place, lawsuits left and right from people who died, and now athletes who are dying of heart attacks, who are totally healthy, who have had the vaccine, and it causes changes in their blood system and blood clotting abilities, and like 35-year-old men, super healthy, fitness driven men, just dying of heart attacks. So it's shit like that. And now you're seeing lawsuit after lawsuit coming up. And I'm over here like, I really am. I'm excited to see when corruption starts to crumble. I like to see that. That makes me happy. So I think we're starting to see that already. And I know in America too, there is the Supreme Court is getting questioned, like about their efficacy and the ethics that the highest court in our country and how they're functioning. And people are questioning the ethics of their decision making and all of the abortion laws that are happening over here, and some really interesting stuff going down. So I think the next 6 months is going to be very interestingly shifting with that foundational stuff. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. But that all happens June 11th, you guys. So Venus square Jupiter, Mercury moves into Gemini, Pluto retrogrades back. And weirdly enough, that all happens the day the sun is on my rising sign. Boop. I don't know. I think I'm going to take the day, maybe the week. I'll just take the week off.
At least a day. I would say at least a day.
right? The 10th through the 12th, just everybody leave me alone. How about that? I don't know what's going on. Just leave me alone. Oh, isn't that interesting? I'm so curious to see how that shows up for me personally. But if you've got
Yeah.
stuff at Gemini, in that Gemini realm, go check and see where
Yeah.
that's happening, right? What's next then? We've got Jupiter has a big deal going on June 15th to the 25th.
That's a long one.
That is a
Yep.
long one.
Jupiter sextile Saturn, and I like the sound of that.
Yeah, a
So
sextile, I like to think of this as a really benevolent gift. Like a sextile energy is when two people or two planets just get along. Like it's
yeah.
just an easy energy. You get along so well, you don't even realize how well you get along.
Mm.
It's like this kind of this dumb intuitive gift between the two people or between the two planets. There's just a flow. So I think with this one, there's just this good balance between like optimism, which is Jupiter, and then realism, which is Saturn. So we've got that, you know?
It feels like a really good combo. That like yeah, that like stern one who wants you to grow and who helps us evolve and mature.
Yeah.
And then the fun, happy, go lucky Santa Claus.
I love
That's
that,
who they are in my mind.
right? I love that. So Saturn for me represents a type of security, and
Mm.
then Jupiter represents growth, right? And usually some type of successful growth. I always think of
Mm.
Jupiter solving problems
Mm.
successfully. So if we
Yeah.
have successful security
Mm.
for 10 days, June 15th to the 25th, like that feels amazing.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's
I like
just
that a
nice. We
lot.
need some of that.
We're planning a
Uh,
camping trip during that time.
oh,
That's
really?
yeah. That sounds
Fun.
nice. I know.
A lot
I
of
like
good maturing.
I hope so.
Yeah, nice, flowy, easy maturing.
I need that for sure. Oh,
We have
Saturn's gonna
another,
retrograde
yeah.
during that time though, the 17th. Saturn
Mm.
moves backwards into Pisces. So what do we learn from a Saturn retrograde?
A lot of hard lessons.
Amen. Pretty
Yeah.
much.
So yeah, retrogrades are all about that. Those rethings. You rethink, you reevaluate, you did something and then you go back and you think, was that good or did I not need to do that?
Yeah.
Oh, was it? Let's take a closer look at that. Let's bring out all of the books. Boom, boom, boom. Let's look closer at this. So retrogrades are actually a really good gift because you get like a second chance
Yeah.
for something.
Yeah. To make sure you did it right. Yeah.
Yeah, and this one is in Pisces.
Which is creative,
Mm,
healing,
mm,
and very what's the word? I always think of delusional, but I'm like, it's not a bad delusional. It's optimistic delusion, right? Like
yeah,
you really want what's best. You really
yeah,
do. And you can get delusional that like everybody's gonna get along on the whole planet.
mm,
No, we're not. That's right. That's the delusional optimism I think about Pisces. So Saturn wants us to recognize where we maybe are being a little overly delusional with our optimism.
yeah, for sure, for sure. And yeah, Pisces. You can get lost in Pisces. It's all about that, checking out that we've been talking about.
Yep. Yep. Making sure you're doing the work in healing
Mm,
and really recognizing your spiritual connection, recognizing your lineage, the healing that needs to come through your lineage, right? Whether grandma or grandpa or mom or dad taught you something dumb that you isn't benefiting you. And they didn't have to teach it purposefully or, be mean about it or it didn't have to be abuse, but we all get bad habits from our lineage,
mm,
right? We all get worthiness issues and self-esteem issues from our parents and grandparents and all of that because we're all in human earth form having
mm,
an earth school experience, and that's part of the experience. And this is a time to really get mature about dealing with that. So you're going to see a
mm,
lot of, and I know you've seen it already, Helena, we've talked about this, is the mental health realm, as far as mental health accessibility, mental health conversations. Like these conversations are coming up over and over. More and more people are talking about meditating. More and more people are talking about manifesting. These are all Pisces words, right?
Mm.
And so really recognizing that Saturn is a personal planet, but brings kind of this global energy, and Pisces is very global. It's very, very connected with humanity and everybody. So we get to
Mm.
go back and make sure we're doing the shit. Make sure we're doing our full moon rituals.
Yeah.
Make sure we're praying to whoever we need to pray to, or doing our practices that fill us and really do the deep healing work that need to be done.
Mm. Mm.
And what did
Amen.
Deborah Silverman, our teacher, say about Saturn lessons?
That I will always remember what she said. It's first it will be a whisper.
Yep.
Is this the one you're talking about? She said a lot of
Yep,
things about
it
Saturn.
is.
But
Yep.
first, Saturn would whisper gently into your ear what you need to do, what you're not doing correctly, what you need to do. And if you don't listen, it will yell at you. And sometimes it will push you and shove you. And it's not pleasant anymore.
No, no.
So you gotta listen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you'll get that cosmic frying pan right upside the head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those lessons get painful. Usually when I talk to people that they're like, oh, this thing is happening and this thing and this thing and this, I just keep learning this. And my brain goes, what's Saturn been trying to tell you?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
It's so
happening
hard.
during that Jupiter sextile Saturn. Saturn begins that retrograde in Pisces. So there's a lot of Saturn activity at that time. And then during that 17th time frame, we have our new moon in Gemini. So the cycles used to start out with new moon first and then full moon at the end. And then with the last Aries, there was 2 Aries new moons. So that actually reset the cycle. And so now it
Oh, that's
starts with a
right.
full moon and ends with a new moon. So now we start off the cycle with releasing and
Ha.
end the cycle with calling forth. Isn't that
Hmm.
interesting? I
It
heard that
is.
on another astrology podcast. It was very educational.
That is. I didn't even think of that, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah, there was 2 new moons in Aries, one at the very beginning and one at the very
That's
end.
right.
And that reset
Mm.
which one we start with. So now we start with a full moon, we end with a
We
new moon.
start with letting go, and
Yep.
then we end with setting intentions.
And it'll be like this, I think, for like another year, maybe year and a half, somewhere in there. So, and then
That's
it'll
really
reset
cool.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
because
new moon in Gemini is all about calling forward all things Gemini related. And again, this is with networking, connecting with people, talking to people, communicating with people, calling forward clear communication, all that shit, right? Like get the chitty chatty activity of the mind. What do you need to manifest in that realm in your world?
And the axis of Sagittarius and Gemini is very like intellectual based. Sagittarius wants to know all about religion, wants to learn everything, and Gemini as well is that lifelong student and just inhales information. Yeah. So
I love that. Inhales information.
Yeah, Geminis.
I do that.
Yeah.
Constantly.
And it sticks in your brain.
It does.
And yeah, so I think that writing is I mean, it's always good to write, but specifically now with this lunar axis with the Sagittarius and Gemini.
Yep.
Right, and talking with the new moon in Gemini.
Talk it out.
Speak your intentions out loud. Say what you want. Yeah.
Yep.
I think so.
And little plug here, you can go to Amazon.com and look up Elemental Emotions and get my emotional elemental based workbook, and it's for your moon sign. So based on your moon sign, and in there are prompts, journal prompts to help you emote in a more communicative way. Hello, I have Gemini moon. So this is something I've created based on how each element processes their emotions. So if you need help with that, you can go get my journal and it'll get mailed to you in time for this new moon. There you go.
I love mine. It's really great. it's super helpful and just very, very validating.
Yay.
Mhm.
My kids do theirs at night. I make them do a question
They do?
every couple days. Yeah. And I said, "Is it
Oh
help
my
you?" They're
God.
like, "Yeah." I was like, "Why'd you take so long to do it?" They're like, "I don't know. I just think to do it." That's most people just don't think to do it,
Teenager voice.
right?
I don't know.
I don't know. Oh, June 18th and 19th, we during this Jupiter sextile Saturn, we still got some activities. So now the sun is squaring Neptune,
Yeah.
which is kind of an interesting concept going on with the sun
Yes.
square Neptune.
Yes.
This can create like some battles that you feel you got to overcome, some insecurities within you. It's almost like the sun activates your insecurities and shines a light on them, and you're like, whoa, where did that come
Mm.
from? Right? It might just bubble up out of nowhere. You didn't realize you needed to deal with it.
Yeah. The sun is all about your vitality and your ego as well. And
Mm-hmm.
then Neptune just brings this fog in over you, and so you don't know what's up and what's down.
Mm-hmm.
And what also happens during this transit is that your vitality is sort of sucked out of you
Mm-hmm.
by Neptune. So you will feel physically very tired and will have to sleep more.
Yeah. And drink more
Yeah.
water. It's
And
like
drink
the
more water.
sun dries up the water of Neptune, and the fish
Mm.
are flopping around looking for water. You need to
Yeah.
drink a lot more. And if you think about it, this is starting to get warm in summer, right? This is like getting
Mm.
to be a hot part of summer. So
Mm.
the 18th and 19th of June, I'm not kidding. Put a note in your calendar. Drink more water,
Yeah.
like a lot.
Yeah, and like a little affirmation note of something like "you're awesome" or something, because you will
Yes.
feel insecure.
Yep.
Your ego
Yep.
will be you won't be able to see anything, and it will not know where it's at.
You know, a word that came up too is gullible. You know,
Yeah,
gullible?
yeah, yeah.
Where like people can fool you. You could be scammed easier during this time.
Mm.
And there could be some bullies that step up that, scam people or whatnot, phone scams or things like that. So be careful
Mm.
what you're signing up for on the internet. Be careful
Mm.
who you're giving your information to. Like just
Mm.
be, don't get your credit card stolen or whatever. Things like that, right? Make sure
Yeah,
you're a little bit more hyper aware that your insecurities and gullibility could lead to
yeah,
bigger problems down the road.
yeah.
Nobody wants that.
No.
That's the 18th and 19th. So be aware that Sun square Neptune it doesn't last long, but it's an intense one. It's a big hitter. And then the 21st, the sun moves into Cancer.
I like that.
Happy summer solstice, everyone, on the
Oh,
21st.
that's right. Yeah.
Yay.
I love Cancer energy. I have a lot of Cancer people around me, and most of the Cancer people I know, they have this super outgoing side, and that was really confusing to me in the beginning. I'm like, Cancer should want to just be alone all the time, but no, Cancer just likes people and likes to take care of people, so they are usually like, no, and then they also want to retreat into their shell for a minute
Right.
and just be alone. But yeah, I love this energy.
I love to think of the water signs like this. This is how I did
Yeah.
decipher the water signs. So Cancer is like the ocean surface. It's got the storms, it's got the waves, it's got the pretty fish swimming, the dolphins jumping. It likes to host people for a little while, right? You can bring your boat on here and you can hang out on me for a little while, but then go away or I'm going to throw a storm at you, right? Like
Yeah.
Cancer is like, yeah, gather near the beach, gather near me and I'd be happy to have you. But if you overstay your welcome, I'm going to get crabby, right? This is how I think
Yeah.
of Cancers. So yeah, they do like people. Scorpio, however, is like the depths of the ocean. And it takes a strong person, a strong-willed and a strong-minded person to want to dive down into Scorpioville,
Mm.
right? That doesn't get many visitors and they're not really the
Want many.
people, right?
Mm.
Because they like to be more private and more in the dark realms and things like that. And if they find their other dark realm people, they're fine.
Yeah.
but they don't necessarily want to be with the bubbly, you know, crazy.
No, they can look up and like check it out, like see what's going on up there. But I can see them, but they can't see me, and that's great.
Right. And then Pisces, I like to think of as all of the mist and the clouds and the, you know, all the things beyond the ethers that we can see and feel. So those are how I think of the water signs, and especially when they interact with people, right?
Yeah.
Hope that helps.
Yeah. No, I think this is a great time for like you know, it's summer here in Sweden. People are starting to more so host dinner parties.
Yep.
You know, just like should we have a picnic? Let's make some delicious pasta salads and meet out in the garden.
Sit out on the
And
balcony, have some
yeah,
wine. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. That
Yeah.
kind of vibe. That's
Yeah.
what I'm looking forward to.
Right? For sure.
Mm.
For me, it's the garden season. We just love to just be up growing our food so that we can nourish our family and take care of each other, right? That's how we like celebrate our Cancer energy here.
Mm.
And then we've got the 25th to the 27th. We've got an interesting square. This is Mars squared to chaos.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So the planet Uranus is electrical chaos, really. Independent, rebellious, unique, eccentric, fun to a point.
Very fun. Mm.
Fun until
Yeah.
it's not. And then when you have Mars there, we have this tension of like ego and fight
Strong-willed.
and drive and passion going directly against this, like, well, I want to do it my way. I want to be weird and independent. You can't tell me what to do. And Mars is like, oh yeah, wanna bet, right? And this is not like the Venus square Jupiter energy where they both planets are like, hey, I like you. Hey, I like you. Let's try to get along while we're not getting along. These two, Mars and Uranus, are like, well, I'll fight. You want to fight? I'll go. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like this in your, you know, I can already hear these guys talking in my head.
Right?
And
I know.
yeah, this might be a feisty conversation in your head and also, you know, in your surroundings because we're all feeling this. So in society, there might be a lot of
conflict.
A lot of conflict, yeah.
Yeah, you
That's
might
a
see
really
news
great way to
stories
put it,
pop
just
up.
conflict.
Yep, news stories pop up of
And all
violence
sudden,
here, violence there. Like there might just be independent rebellions too. Like people rebelling certain things here and there. So that's June 25th. So be aware of that until the 27th.
yeah.
And
like people who don't usually blow up easily might
Good. Yep.
blow up. And like, where did that come from?
Yep. Yep.
Where on earth did that come from?
Yep. And Mars is hanging out in Leo. So, you know, you got to be aware of that Leo boldness and braveness and get a little lion like and roar.
Yeah.
So be careful. Confidence might be a little high then, and you may be overconfident. So, and then the 28th to the 29th, oh, we have a little bit of a relief with the sun in a lovely conversation, a trine to Saturn. So the planet of authority is talking to the lovely planet in the sky, the sun, that is the vitality and life force. And so they're having a good conversation.
A great time to get things done.
Yep. Yep.
Just get them all done. Yep. Write a list of everything you need to do and like do at least half of that list.
Right. Pressure wash the house, purge the mud room, get shit cleaned out, right? Yeah. Just do a good
I'm gonna go and clean my basement, I think.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, and that makes sense because Saturn is a foundation. So go clean the foundational area of your life and shine the sun on areas that are normally hidden, right? And you don't want to deal with. Saturn will help you go, all right, let's get this shit done. So, and then the last month, we've got Sun, sextile Jupiter, and then the sun is still trying to Saturn. So that's a good way to end the month.
It is. That's a really nice way.
Good conversation. Jupiter comes into this conversation with the sun and Saturn, and he's like, hey guys, let me bring some benevolence.
What you doing?
Exactly. Hey, how can I help out here?
Hang out?
It's almost like you're cleaning out your basement and your friend comes over with like, your favorite drink and some treats. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, hello, come on in, right? And you sit and
Perfect.
hang
Give me a
out and
hand.
exactly. You hang out, have your treats, and then you have another worker to help you. Oh, I
Yeah.
like that. So the
Yeah.
28th to the 30th, you guys seriously plan something and get some buddies over and get a
Yeah,
project.
honestly, like do those things, and like those really hard things that you really hate doing, like looking over your loans, looking over your economy. Oh, all of those things that just makes you go, I don't want to look at that.
Somebody in my head
Do
just got mad
that.
that you said that because I needed to hear that.
Yeah. I almost got mad at myself. I got like a bad feeling in my stomach. Like, I don't want to look at that. But no one wants to, but this is the time to do it.
Do it.
So
Use
take
the
advantage of
energy.
it.
Use the energy of the
Use
planets.
energy.
And that's what I said. Some full moons I do a full moon thing, some I don't because some affect me personally and
Yeah.
some I just kind of let them slide. Same thing
Mm.
with these transits. Sometimes I get really hit and sometimes I'm like, "Ooh, I like this. Whatever's happening with the planets today, I'm going to go with it."
Yeah.
And that's the best way to flow through life, you guys. That's why we do these
Mm.
transits because it helps you to create awareness about maybe June 25th to the 27th, you just keep your kids like away from each other. Like, or maybe like you just don't talk to your in-laws or whatever it is, right? Like just whatever,
Mm. Yeah, like
wherever there's
if you're
conflict.
planning, to have people over for dinner or to do something hard, just look over
Yep.
the transits and pick
And the
an
guest list.
appropriate date and the guest list. Yeah, we have this little I wrote down all of these transits in nice colors, and we can put this somewhere. We can put it on Instagram
We could,
so
yeah,
you
let's
can
do that.
easily see it.
Let's do
And
that.
yeah, I'll
We'll
put it
throw it
over
on our
there.
Instagram page. If you don't
Mm,
follow us on Instagram, you should do so. Helena has some, I love the pictures you find for that. They're phenomenal.
thanks.
All of a sudden I'm like, whoa, what's that weirdness?
Yeah,
Ooh, I like that. They're just
yeah.
trippy, cool pictures. So yeah, we love a like and a share and a follow and all of that. And if you have some topics you would like us to talk about in this lovely little chat session we do, shoot us an email, ramgoatastrology@gmail.com. And yeah, if you want to be on the show, feel free to email us as well. And you can support us by buying us a coffee or a tea, which is a financial support. And you can find that link below. And we'd love if you'd want to toss us $3 or whatever to
Yeah.
help us keep the show going. So thank you for joining us during this June transit. Any other final
Hmm.
comments today, Helena?
Well, I just want to add that our Instagram name is Ram and Goat Astrology.
That's
I
true.
mean, you guys are smart enough to figure that out, but I wanted to say that.
Did you have to look that up?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. I did.
I love that.
Because I never know if it's like Ram Goat Astrology,
Right.
Ram and I don't know.
I know.
So I wanted to get it correct. And
Because
now
the
you know.
email is
Goat.
RamGoatAstrology.
Yes.
There's no
Yes.
and. I screwed that up. Sorry, everyone. I love it. Well, thank you for joining us during our June transit, and thanks for being flexible with us with when we put our show out today. So we'll see you next time. I don't know what we're going to talk about next time, but I'm sure it'll be entertaining.
We're gonna have someone over.
We
Someone
are.
into our house.
We
Yes.
are.
Our
We're doing an
podcast house.
interview. Ooh, I'm excited. All right. Take care, everybody. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.